Hi, instructors. I hope I am not boring you with my very exciting Blackboard videos. But one thing I wanted to talk to you guys about a little bit today is how to use the course content folders. So I'm going to share my screen, and hopefully this will be a little bit clearer. Okay, so I'm using my English 101 class again. You'll notice that if you go to course content, right, it's going to bring you to the only thing I have here visible to students, and I have not built my content yet, but everybody should have this Start Here folder, and I'll show you how to create a Start Here folder and then how to create subsequent folders after that. So the thing about the folder is you want to let students know on the outside of the folder what they will find inside of it. So here, right, this little guy looks like a folder. It's labeled my Start Here folder, and here is there's some things that you should have in there for your students. So you should have your syllabus or your course outline. I'm still in the process for this class. I kind of got added at the last minute of working on the course outlines, which is, you know, the week by week information for the students, their readings and things like that. I do a welcome video for them, especially for my online students, just so they can see my face and see who I am and know that I'm not some weird person behind a computer. I have a link for my WebEx room because some of my hybrid courses will be meeting on WebEx. So if they go into class and they say, where am I supposed to be? They can go right to this Start Here folder and have all that information. And then I have a link for making an appointment with me. So if we open this folder, right, we click on the Start Here folder, you will see all of that material in there. So the students know without going in what they're going to see on the outside. This is really helpful for them just because if they're looking for something specific, they'll know where to find it. So if they're like, oh, where was that assignment for, you know, the first draft? And they don't quite remember if it's week 3 or week 4. If they look on the outside, they can see what's inside the folder, and then they know that when they click on the folder, it will be in there for them. Okay. So how to create these folders? The first thing you want to go to is build content. Okay. And I am creating a content folder, right? That's what I want to do. That's the first thing you have to do because you're going to put everything into those content folders. So I'm going to create my week 1 content folder. Okay. And I'm going to name it week 1. You can see I've done this before. All of my weeks will pop up. So this is my week 1 folder. Here is where I'm going to type what's in here. So here you will find what? I want to tell my students, what are they going to find? You know, handout of, I don't know, against school. I'm not following any sort of rules here. A video on schools, you know, whatever I have content-wise that I want to put in here. Assignment on uniforms. I'm making this all up off the top of my head. And any other information that is going to be in this folder for week 1. So I put all of my assignments, all of my handouts, all of my videos, everything. If I'm having them read something, I can just, you know, put it on here as a list, you know, read pages 25 to 35 in real writing or whatever it is. And I can list that here so that they know what to expect in my week 1 folder. Okay. The other thing I always do is make this a little bit more visible. So I always make sure it's 14-point font for them. And then I make sure that for some reason, Blackboard has been defaulting to gray. I don't know why. And I just make it black so that it's a little bit easier for them to read. I also kind of like to put bullet points for them. So you can do that. You can add the bullet points there so that they can see everything that they're expected to do. Again, this is a very similar style of, you know, of creation as the announcements are. So do I want users to see this content? If I'm still working on it, then no. So I will always check off no. I can come back and change that at any time. But if I'm in the middle of creating a folder and I get called away for something, or I have a class or I have a meeting and I'm not done with it, I don't want students going in there and getting confused. So until I'm 100% ready, I always want to click no. Okay. And then I don't bother with track number of views because I don't care who sees it. They'll get the work in if they're going to look at it, and hopefully they are. And then again, this is the same thing. If it's all done, but you don't want to display it yet, you could, you could click this yes button, and then you can say, well, you know, this folder is all done, but I don't want anybody to see it until Friday the 22nd at midnight. And then you can do that. I've done that a lot for my students. Now, when I submit this, you're going to see that I now, in my course content folder, I have my Start Here folder, and then I have my week 1 folder. And you'll see how it's nice and big so they can see everything that's expected of them. So they're going to see this handout. They're going to see there's a video in there. They're going to see there's an assignment. You'll also see here availability. Item is hidden from students. So they are not able to see this. So if I go into student preview, right? Let me just get rid of this for a second. If I go into student preview, right? I can click on this, and this is a really helpful tool because sometimes I forget and I don't make things available, and then I'm like, oh wait, let me just make sure. And then I'm like, hey, my students can't see this. So you can see right now, the only thing that they're able to see is the Start Here folder, and that's what I want. I don't want them to see the other stuff yet. So I'm going to go back to my preview and exit my preview and go back to my editing. And so now I have this week 1 folder. Now I have to put some stuff in it. So if I click on this folder, you'll see that it's completely blank. There is nothing in there. So let's say I want to build some content. So if I want to add a file, I will go here and go to a file. This will pop up. You won't be able to see this on your computer when I go to add the file, but you name the file. Let's say this is my handout about Against School. And then I want to get it from my computer. You won't see this pop up, but I'm looking at my files on my computer. And then I will add, I'm just going to add a syllabus just because that's the first thing that's there. Okay. It will tell me what file it's going to upload. I always click on this button that says open in a new window because then it's easier for them to go back to where they just were in Blackboard and not exit out of the program itself. And again, I usually, once I have the folder available, I don't mess with the date and time restrictions of any of these other things. Once the folder becomes available, all the material in the folder will become available as well. Okay, and then I submit that. That's how to add a file. Okay, so in my week 1 folder, I have one thing right now, and that is Against School. Let's assume I want to add a web link, right? So maybe there's a video that I want to add. I will click on this web link, and then I can add the name of the video, whatever that happens to be, and the URL. I don't remember what I added over the the last semester, but there's a YouTube video, probably one that I created, and students will be able to go and click on that. I would probably want to give it a better description, right? I would write in here, here's your video, is your video on school uniforms, or about rather, school uniforms. Okay, so that they know what they're looking at or looking for. I will click submit. I don't want to attach any files. And here we go. So now, and students will be able to identify this. You can talk to them a little bit about this too. I usually tell them, hey, this is, a handout. If it's a little piece of paper, it's something to read. If you see this, that usually means it's a link to a website or a video or something on the web. And then they know that for sure. You can also link to other tools in your, so let's say I want to link them to a journal prompt, or I want to link them to a discussion board somewhere else. I like to put everything that's due for them in one folder so they can easily find it. They know everything in week 1 is going to be listed in that week 1 folder. So for example, if I want to link them to a discussion board, right, I can click on the discussion board tool, and then let's say you can link just to the page, which I don't often do. I like to be really specific. I will link them to a particular forum that we're working on. So far, all I have is course questions. If I wanted to create a new forum, I could do that. That takes a little bit more effort and energy, but you can always do that first. You can always create your discussion board first and then link it. It will be listed here already. So I'm going to link them right to course questions, and I'm going to click the next button. It's going to ask me to write a little bit of a description. What is it that we want to tell them, right? In this, here is the link, and I will take the time to write this. Here is the link to this week's discussion board. Okay. Make it as clear as possible. I'm sorry, my finger is not working today. Okay. And I do that just so that when they go in there, they know exactly what they're going to find. And everything has a description. Everything has information that they can easily find. So I would write, here's the handout. Here's your video about school uniforms. Here's a link to this week's discussion board. Here's a link to this week's journal prompt, whatever it is, so that they know exactly what it is that they're going to find. So if I click on this, right, it's going to take me right to that discussion board for them. okay? And they can create a thread and do all the things that they do in discussion boards, okay? So it's helpful if we just go back to course content. If you go week by week, I usually also label the week dates for them. So I start my week on Sunday. All of my assignments are due on Sundays and Wednesdays. So I start my week on Sunday and I'll say, this week one is January 25th through January 28th, so that they know all of the material during that week. Any due dates that are there are going to be in that week one folder. And it's clear to them what's expected of them and where they can find it, okay? So your course content folder, super important. And the Start Here folder, just to kind of go over really quickly, your syllabus should be there. I find it helpful to have your WebEx link or your Blackboard Collaborate link wherever you're going to meet students, your office hours, anything. Their Start Here folder should be kind of like the home base. Any questions that they have about you or your class, they can go to that Start Here folder and find it really, really quickly. So I hope this was helpful.